If I may have your attention, please. At this time, we're going to begin the funeral services here in our chapel for Mr. Seymour Maslov. As we begin the service, I would ask if any of you has a cell phone or any other noise-making device, please turn it off at this time. Officiating remotely today will be Rabbi Barry Schechter from Congregation Cole Emmett here in Skokie.
מזמור לדוד. אדוני, מי יגביר לך? מי ישכון בהר קודשך? הולך תמים ופועל צדק ודובר אמת בלבבו. לא רגל לשונו, לא עשה לרעהו רע, וחרפה לא נשא על קרובו. נבזה בעיניו נמאס, ואת ירא אדוני יכבד. נשפל הרע ולא ימיר, כספו לא נתן בנשך, ושוחד הנקי לא לקח. עושה אלה לא ימות לעולם. God, who may abide in your house? Who may dwell in your holy mountain? Those who are upright, who do justly, who speak the truth within their hearts, who do not slander others, or wrong them, or bring shame upon them, who give their word and come what may do not retract, who do not exploit others, who never take bribes. Those who live in this way shall never be shaken. Dear friends, we're here for a sad and difficult occasion to say goodbye, which is one of the most difficult things we can ever do, but also to pay tribute and to honor the memory, and even if possible, to celebrate the life of Seymour Maslov, Sai, the son of Harry and Ruth, Simcha bat Yaakov Rachel, who's gone to his eternal rest and leaves a family that really loves him very dearly and that he loved very dearly. First, of course, I should mention his late wife, Freya, to whom we said goodbye last year. But also we have here the children, the daughters Marcy, Stacy and her Daniel, and Julie. And the grandchildren Samuel, Elias, Loren, and Tyler. And the siblings, sister Miriam and her late Lyman, and Alvin, Al, and his Jackie, who are here. And we're going to begin by hearing from family members. And so I'm going to call upon Julie to speak to us first about her father.
For those of you watching, thank you for tuning in. For everybody here, thank you. No one really expected to have to do funerals like this, in a way, and yet here we are, making the best of what is dealt to us, which is exactly what our dad, and mom for that matter, always taught us to do. Think on the bright side, be grateful for what we have, and love each other no matter what. Oh boy, did he love us tremendously. He had 1, 2, 3, at least 5 girls to deal with, all at the same time. Poor guy didn't stand a chance to ever get a word in edgewise. This past year, he learned how to find his own voice by understanding what was important to him. Dad, you finally got a chance to make your own choices. You spent all your life caring for all of us, and now, this past year, it was your turn to be cared for, loved, and cherished more than ever. You deserve to be spoiled. Stacy and Marcy, you both were able to do that threefold. Marcy by flying and every couple of weeks. Stacy going back and forth every day, sometimes multiple daily, just to do everything, to cook and check in and doctor's appointments and everything. So many things on that list, endless. Without you guys, Dad would not have been able to have his wishes carried out by staying in the home that he shared with all of us and the love of his life for the past 50 years. So thank you for taking such excellent care of Dad while I was stuck because of this stupid pandemic, only making phone calls. Right until the end, his spirit never wavered, although he was still heartbroken after Mom passed. His humor and wit were still sharp. His gentle and grateful demeanor never missed a beat. I loved our brief chats about the weather, the news, family. I always heard about how thankful he was for Marcy and Stacy because he wouldn't survive without them. Marsha. Dad, today is a beautiful sunny day, and we will celebrate you now and forever. Take care of yourself. Have fun with Mom, all our grandparents, friends, and family that waited for your arrival, including our Keeney Street gang. And most of all, you're now in God's hands, at peace, and we will love and miss you forever.
I'd like to share a few words with you, a few memories of my brother, who was my mentor and my role model. My folks were working day and night, 6 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock at night, and who was taking care of me? It was your father, my brother, and my sister Miriam. And I learned a lot from Seymour because he took his responsibilities throughout his life very seriously, but especially with me. And he showed me what it was like to learn and to appreciate all of the things that he learned. So I watched him very carefully because he was a tinkerer. He loved technology. He always had projects going, electronics. He built hi-fi systems and stereos, radios. He was into everything. And he also was a great teacher because around Chicago there was a lot to do, but it took somebody like Cy to introduce me to the University of Chicago, where we would go and take a look around and where we would go to see the Cardinal football team, the White Sox, the Rainbow Beach. All of those things were introduced to me. He taught me how to play tennis, not well, golf, even worse. But he was a great teacher. And that sort of love of learning was something that was transferred to me. And when he went away to school to study electrical engineering, I said, that's for me. When he went into the Army, I also said, I'll do that as well. So everything that Cy did was an example of how to enjoy life, and he had a great sense of humor. There was always something around the house. Mad magazines, probably don't remember those, but always in his life he had some sense of humor, and he also had a dedication, a very deep dedication to his family. And he loved every one of you very deeply. So I'm very proud to say that Cy was my brother and my mentor and my go-to guy. And I'll miss him very much. So God bless, and hope that all of you are safe and well and stay that way.
Thank you, Julie and Al, for those lovely words. We have a connection, the family and I, not just because I managed to be with you last year when Freya passed and we had the service, but also through the congregation of which I'm a rabbi, Congregation Kol Emeth in Skokie, because the three of you, Marcy, Stacy, and Julie, all went to Hebrew school, all had your bat mitzvahs there, with two of my predecessors, Rabbi Levinson, and then Rabbi Mussman. So we have this connection, but this connection was resumed in a most wonderful way last high holidays, last Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, when Seymour watched the services that we broadcast. And Marcy, you told me how on the second day of Rosh Hashanah, he was nagging you, he was nudging you to get on, he couldn't do this, but you could. I don't know if people know here, Marcy is a great expert on Zoom. In fact, there's another connection, because the Zoom services that at Kol Emeth we do every week on Friday night and Shabbat morning, and I hope you'll join me this week when we'll say Kaddish for your father. Marcy has been my indispensable consultant, and I can safely say that if not for her advice and support, we wouldn't have these services. So there's a further connection. In any event, we've spoken about Seymour, as you know, grew up on the south side, went, I think, to Hyde Park High School, and as you heard, of course, became an engineer, worked at Western Electric, that's the company that later became AT&T. He served in the army, 6 years in the reserve, the National Guard, and as you said, Al, as you told me just before, you followed him there, you followed him to many places because he was such an inspiration to you in so many ways. And knowing and hearing the kind of person he was, we can readily understand that. Later, he was in the scrap metal business with David Gordon. I believe you told me he named himself a salvage engineer, which is a delightful euphemism. And when David Gordon passed, he took over. He worked very hard. Al, you said your parents worked from 6 to 11. Well, he worked not as long as that, but he had a long, long ride all the way from the north to the south side. He also, as you told me, worked with his father-in-law, with Harold. And every single morning he would stop at a diner on 39th Street. That's a word I think you invented, for breakfast every day with Harold. Later, he had a job with Viking Fasteners. And then finally, he was a community service officer in Morton Grove, which is where I'm speaking to you from. I don't know if he intended to do this originally. You told me that Freya insisted she wouldn't let him sit around, and she did right by him. There's no question. Now, how did they meet? You told me this last year, and I think it's a delightful story. How did they meet? How did Seymour and Freya meet? Well, his friend, Seymour's friend, had a house party, and he went to that house party with a woman. But that was not Freya. He saw Freya there and he said, that is going to be my wife. And he chased her for 4 years. And finally, they were married, and happily for many, many years. Initially on the south side, and as I said later, they moved north. She was in many ways the focus of his life. As you pointed out, Julie, he was in a family that was all female. He was the minority in that family, the male. There was no affirmative action for him, I don't think. The only time that there was a male in the household was when the dogs that you have, I think there was a Muffin had a litter of 5 puppies, of whom 3 were male. As I believe it was said, he finally had a son in the family, but then you told me they sold the male dogs. So once again, he was there, the sole male in this family. As you've heard, as I've heard from you, as you heard from Al just now, he was a wonderfully loving and kind and thoughtful person who put his own needs aside, provided for the family, provided well for them. and he took care of you. That's how I viewed his role. And hearing from Al just now, we learn, or at least I learned, you probably knew this before, that this providing for others started long before, because his parents had to work these unbelievable hours. He was the guardian, the mentor, the one who looked after Al, who inspired him, who taught him, who added to his education his own intellectual curiosity, knowing about things, learning about things. He transmitted this to Al, as I'm sure and I know that he transmitted it to you, to the children. You also told me that he, within the storm of, your words, not mine, don't blame me for this, the storm of females in the house, he was the calm within the storm. He was the mediator. I mean, your mother might say to you, wait till your dad gets home, but that really wasn't a threat at all. He could be stubborn, but he was persistent, and he got the result he wanted, not by any kind of emotional blackmail, but just by gentle, kind persuasion. That's the man he was. Held the family together. I know that you traveled once in a while. You rode to Florida, California, you went to the Bahamas. And later in life, your parents had a condo, which they rented out when they weren't there, in Florida, near Orlando, near Disney World. And they would go there once a year in the winter for a couple of weeks. It was a fine partnership there. It was what I call the Schlop, I'm saying it wrong, the shop and schlep partnership. Freya bought, Freya shopped, and Sai schlepped. But he supported you in so many ways, supported you through college, wherever it was that you went. I mean, for high school, of course, you went to Niles West. I'm sure you've heard that the new Attorney General of the United States is one of your graduates from Niles West, Merrick Garland. But he supported you through, as I said, through college as well. Stacy and Marcy, you both went to University of Illinois in Champaign. Stacy, you studied psychology, and Marcy, accounting. Julie, you went to the Art Institute here and then art school in Michigan, and you're all using your skills, whether you got them at the college, at university, or from life. You told me that when it came to technology, when it came to puttering, when it came to making things and assembling things and putting things together and creating whatever it was, he was wonderful, very, very handy, wonderful hands. As we say in Yiddish, gebenchte Hand, hands that are blessed, that can be used to make things that are skillful. I'm very envious of that, because despite the appearance, both these are left hands, actually. But he, when it came to sort of modern technology, or even not so modern technology, that wasn't his thing. For example, you mentioned, Marcy, that when he took the job at the fastener company, he did everything manually. So there were zillions of inputs to find, but it would take him ages. But you gave him a spreadsheet. You showed him how to use that, and saved him a lot of time and effort. But as I said before, as I said at the beginning, in the end, he actually was a wonderful beneficiary of what we're using now. Well, something like what we're using now, Zoom, where he could be at our Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur services, and he loved them, and he was able to see them and hear them and really be a part of them just because of this technology that we have now. The family got together also on Hanukkah and Thanksgiving through Zoom. Now, I understand that when he fixed things, let me go back to that, he didn't just fix things himself. If you would call him for advice, or say there was a mechanic working with you, he would say, tell the mechanic to do this, that, and the other. I believe that part of the inheritance you come into is a house full of the results of his creativity, or his, you can phrase it as you like. I was about to say, don't take this wrongly, his putterings. And you are going to sort through that now. I think, I believe that he would hang, I think he would come out and hang pictures for you. Isn't that right? Did I have that right? But the thing is, you kept moving. So once he came after a while, and the pictures were hung, but some of them were crooked, and he questioned this, and you said, look, you weren't here to help me. So then afterwards, I think he straightened them all out. He was part of your lives. Sam and Eli, you had your bar mitzvah at Shari Tikva. He was with you as much as physically possible, in the same way that Freya was. Julie, you were in Canada, and he sent you stuff there all the time. He was really close. Loren and Tyler, he was there for a dance recital. I think he and Freya surprised you. They showed up for this because he loved the family, as you said before, as both of you said. He adored you. He would do anything for you. He had wonderful humor, and he would send lots of jokes for the grandchildren. Julie, you told me, and he wanted them to write letters to him, telling him some jokes that he could use. In our prayers that we say, one of the prayers that we say is the grace after meals, the Birkat Hamazon, the benching. And in that prayer, as in certain other prayers, we make a prayer for our parents if they're present. Now in Hebrew, Avi means my father. Avi, my father. But when we make these prayers, we don't just say Avi. I'll tell you what we say. Avi Mori, my father, my teacher. My father, my teacher. That's what a father should be. That's what a mother should be. The same prayer for the mother. Imi Morati, my mother, my teacher. Sai was not just a parent, not just a brother, although that's quite enough. He was a teacher. He taught by precept. He taught, as you heard with Al, by taking him out to see things, by opening the world to him. The same for the children. But he was a teacher in another way. He was a teacher because he showed you how, he taught you by example. This is how a person should be. This is how a human being, a Jewish man or woman or anyone, but how a human being should live, should be respectful, should be thoughtful, should take responsibility seriously, should love, should be gentle. All these qualities, all these characteristics, all these virtues, you saw in him. Now, I used the past tense, and I said you saw in him, but I would like to suggest to you that we should use the present tense and even the future. You see in him, a continuous present. You see in him because you see him now. He's not here physically, but you see him now. And all these wonderful qualities, they're a gift that he's given you. They're the Yerusha, that's the inheritance. That's what he leaves you. That's what the gift that goes on giving long after he has gone physically. There may come a point in your life that it must come, because it comes in everyone's life, when you might have to make a choice, a moral choice, or some kind of choice, and you won't be sure. There may be some problem. What would I do? And you'll think to yourself, what would he have done? what would he have done? This won't happen all the time, but at some point it'll happen, and you will know. You will know what to do, and you will feel better afterwards, even if it's a difficult choice. So take whatever you can from this wonderful life of this lovely, lovely man, this decent, fine human being, this lovely Jewish man who taught, who loved, who supported, who was responsible, all these virtues, all these beautiful qualities. Take them, make them a part of your lives as much as you can. And that way, you will honor his memory in the most profound way. He's at peace now in the sense that we understand, although you know that in Jewish tradition, we do not believe that this is the end. We believe that this somehow, in ways that we can't possibly understand, that somehow something goes on. And if it does, if it's anything like what goes on here, but I can't imagine that it is, he's already creating things, he's already puttering, he's already finding bits and pieces and assembling them into something wonderful. Or he's looking after people. He's being responsible. But as I say, in the sense that we can understand, he's at peace now. And of him I say, Tehei nishmato serura bitzror hachayim. May his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. And to him I say, Seymour, Sai, Simcha ben Yaakov v'Rachel, Lech b'shalom, gay in freedom, go in peace. Have a licht in Gan Eden, may your repose be in paradise. You will never be forgotten. You will always be remembered in love by those who knew you and loved you, and those whom you knew and you loved. Amen. Now I'm going to recite the 23rd Psalm. I believe you have it there in the leaflet, the document that you've been given. I hope you have it. If not, you can listen to me, but if you can, if you join me, that will be wonderful. So let us begin, the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. And now I'm hoping we can do this. May be able to assist me. The director may be able to assist me. If people could rise, and if the family who are wearing the ribbons could tear the ribbons. Can I just be told if this is happening or not? Is this happening? Well, let me say with those who are wearing the ribbons, if you could say with me the bracha, the blessing that we say, thank you, that we say on these occasions when we suffer a loss. So the bracha begins in a way that I think you'll be very familiar with. It's just the last two words that are special and different. So say with me as much as possible. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam And now, these are the two words, Dayan Ha'emet, which means blessed be the true judge. And that's what we say when we suffer a loss, as you have. And now if you could remain standing, only stand if it's possible for you to stand. If it's difficult, please remain seated. And I will recite the memorial prayer, the Eil Malei Rachamim. The Kaddish we will recite later when we come to the cemetery. Eil Malei Rachamim, Shochein Bamramim, Hametzei Mnuchanichana, Tachat Kanefei Ashechira, Bimalot Kedoshim Motarim, Kizalhar Harakiam Masirim, Et Nishema Simcha Ben Yaakov Rachel Shalach Leolamo Bavo She'anachnu Nodrim Mitztaka Biad Askarat Nishmato Began Eden Tehei Menuchato Lachein Ibal Arachamim Yastireu Beseite Kanaf Leolamim Bitzeror Achaimet Nishmato Adonai Hunachal V'yanuach b'shalom al mishkavo v'nomar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure who shine as the brightness of the firmament, unto the soul of Seymour Maslov, the son of Harry and Ruth, who has entered eternity and in whose memory we offer charity. May his repose be in paradise. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in your eternal presence, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace. And let us say, Amen.
This concludes the service here in our chapel. The interment will take place immediately at the family's plots at West Lawn Cemetery, 7800 West Montrose in Norwich. Because of ongoing public health crisis, there is no public Shiva. I want to thank those of you that have been watching streaming online. I'd like to call your attention to those present. Your family pastor contributions be made to Congregation Kol Emet. That information's in the printed service folder. For those of you watching online, that information is on the website that you are currently on. For those of you going in procession with the funeral, the procession will form in our parking lot. Those in the limo will take care of that. If there are any other vehicles going, please make sure you have your bright headlights and flashing hazard lights on. For an additional measure of safety, our staff will be placing a magnetic flag on top of any cars that are going with in procession. For those of you watching online, we will be reestablishing the same link you're watching right now in approximately 45 minutes, so you would also be able to observe the interment if you wish. This concludes the service here at the cemetery. Thank you. At the funeral home. My apologies. Thank you. If any of you may have used the facilities, please do so before we leave. 45
So friends, if you have we've done everything at the chapel, and what we're now going to do is say the Mourner's Kaddish. I hope and trust that you have the text there in English letters or Hebrew letters, either one. And please say it with me. For those who are there who are not saying the Kaddish, you can respond. One of the responses you may know, it's very simple. When we say V'imru, you say Amen. And this happens a few times. We say V'imru, you say Amen. And after that, after we're done with the Kaddish, then we'll have the lowering of the casket. We also are not sure we may have Earth from Israel there. If we do, I will explain to you the significance of that. Anyway, let's begin then with the Mourner's Kaddish. Anyone can join who wishes to. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah. Bi'alma divra chirutei. V'yamlich malchutei. B'chaye chon uvyome chon. Uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv. V'imru. Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam ul'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal Shemei L'kudsha Rihu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran bi'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. That last verse speaks of shalom. You all know what shalom means? Shalom means peace. Oseh shalom bimromav. He who makes shalom, he who makes peace above, it says, Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, may he make peace among us, between us. We need that very much now. But I would like to think also not just between us and among us, but within us, because when we suffer a loss, we really don't have shalom, we don't have peace within us. We have a turbulence, a disturbance, a sadness. I hope and pray that in the time to come, as time works its healing, you will find some measure of shalom, some measure of peace in your hearts. And now I believe we're going to lower the casket. Am I right? I don't see, because of Zoom, I don't see what is exactly what is going on, but I'm assuming that.
Okay, Rabbi, whenever you're ready, sir.
About is that?
The casket's been lowered. The top of the vault is in place, sir.
Yes. Is there any Israeli earth or not?
Yes, sir. That has been placed in the casket.
Has it placed in the casket? Yes. Let
And
me
in-
just. Sorry. Go on.
And in the grave, Rabbi.
In the grave. Yes. We have Israeli earth that's been placed in there. As you may know, of course, for thousands of years, Jewish people wanted to be buried in Israel, which obviously is not always possible. So we bring earth here from Israel. It's in the casket. It comes from the Har Hazeitim, the Mount of Olives, ancient and sacred cemetery in Jerusalem. So the person, your father, your brother, is being buried in Israeli earth, which is very nice. If you wish to place some earth on there, if you can, physically, psychologically, it's considered to be a very good deed. Coming to the funeral and doing these things is considered a chesed shel emet, an act of loving kindness, which is truthful, which is genuine, because in the nature of things, that the person cannot repay us with anything similar. So if you wish to do that, if you can, please do that. I don't know what arrangements they're making because of COVID, but 3 portions of earth usually is what is done. If you wish to do more, of course you can. So please, if you wish, please go ahead and do that. Just be careful. Be careful, obviously, not to get too close to each other or to the grave. Just keep a reasonable distance, just for safety on all counts.
right, Rabbi, everyone has participated.
Good. All right. Well, I want to wish you, can they hear me? I want to wish you all well. Are they going to stay or what's going to happen now?
They're going to stay, Rabbi. The truck will be approaching in a moment.